Good afternoon, brothers and sisters.
Good afternoon po.
Thank you.
Oh, Jesse.
It's a privilege for me today to share the words of God. God is so much concerned about our way of attitude, our way and attitude of living. He cares for us. He sees every details of our life for every reason that He wants to bless us and enjoy it to the fullest. And one of the areas in our life He wants to teach us is in the area of giving. And the title of my exhortation today is God's Perspective in Giving His Excellence. And my main idea is we give as natural response of love to our God, and God give us so we can give even in the midst of our problems, of our trials, and even in our pains in life. Our text today is in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, from verse 1 to 7. As we're going to read it. And now, brothers, we want you to know about the grace that God has given to the Macedonian churches. Out of the most severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. For I testify that they gave as much as they were able, and even beyond their ability, entirely on their own. They urgently pleaded with us for the privilege of sharing in this service to the saints. And they did not do as we expected, but they gave themselves first to the Lord and then to us in keeping with God's will. So we urged Titus, since he had earlier made a beginning, to bring also to completion this act of grace on your part. But just as you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in love for us, see that you also excel in this grace of giving. Thank God for the words that we have read. There are three comments Paul has done to Macedonian believers about their attitude and ways in the area of giving, as I said. And also his encouragement to the Corinthians believer. Paul, number one comment is Paul esteem on how the Macedonian give. And that is, so we can see it in verse 1. It says that in great trial and affliction, even in their extreme poverty, the Macedonian gave out of distress, misery, pain, and hardship. But these things does not hinder them from giving. And their motivation for this is the love for God. And in their extreme poverty also, they gave out of their need and nothingness. And that motivation, the compassion for others, that they don't even think of their own situation. Their motive is pure and noble. In the second comment of Paul, Paul testified the Macedonian attitude of giving. How did they give? They give with overflowing joy. They are a cheerful giver. They don't complain. They don't murmur, because they have the assurance that they will receive more, and they could never, and they also thought that they could never outgive God. They gave themselves to the Lord also, as they are imitating God when the Lord gave His only begotten Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, that we can see it in John 3:16. And they know that we have to give ourselves first to the Lord, because we can never give without God in our life. Paul exemplify, and they are motivated by the love for others too. For their love for others is overflowing. That's why they were able to give. Paul exemplified or characterized the Macedonians' way of giving. They give in rich generosity. If we're going to really look at this, give in rich generosity, there are two adjectives that we can see here is about the richness in their generosity. They give abundantly because they know God's principle of sowing and reaping that they also experience in their life. So that's why they said that it is rich in generosity. And another thing is they give beyond their ability. They give their skills that they were able to help. And to all of their giving, they consider it as a privilege of sharing to other believers. For them, their giving is not a burden, but a privilege. And what is Paul's comment to the Corinthian believer? Paul recognized and encouraged the Corinthians. He said in verse, as we can see in verse 7, he said that, but just as you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in your love for us, see that you also excel in this grace of giving. So Paul just encourages the Corinthians believer how to give. They excel in everything, in faith, in everything. But Paul encouraged them to excel also in their giving. So, just like us, do you plan on giving? Think about how the Macedonians give, with overflowing joy and in rich generosity. But you will say, I'm in great need as well. What about God's perspective in our giving? We can never outgive God. Let us take Paul's advice to the Corinthians believers to excel in this grace of giving. And my conclusion is, to the words of God, the words of God clearly tells us and encourages us to give, because giving, the Lord telling us, is the greatest thing He ever gave us, and that is our lives. In John 3:16. Thank you.